Hi there.
Hey Joe, how are you?
I'm doing awesome. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Good, good. Get this thing adjusted here. There we go. So, how's your day going?
So far, so good. It's a busy day. It's been
Is
just a
it?
crazy busy time of week, time of year.
Yeah, we're kind of experiencing that. Is it normally busy for you at the beginning of the year?
Yeah, and New Year's resolutions and all, right? Like, so people who are determined to get their planning done, or they were determined to get it done last year, but didn't get around to it. So we always find December to be a little crazy, and then that continues into January a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. December, the last 2 years, this year and last year, were our highest revenue months.
Okay.
So, yeah, so this December was our highest. I hear from some people like, oh, December totally slows down. I think the first 3 weeks of December were really busy for us. And the last week and then the first week of January were kind of slow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do
So,
find November, December tend to be our higher revenue months as well.
mhm.
Yeah.
Are you guys dying up there? You're up in Massachusetts, right?
What do you mean dying?
With the
Nobody.
weather, is it like freezing cold?
No, it's
No.
39 degrees right now. It's glorious.
Oh my God. We're at like 64, and here well, I'm in a sweatshirt. I'm just like freezing my tail off.
I have family in the who live in Riverview outside of Tampa. So
Hmm.
we had our first snow over the weekend. So I sent them pictures, and the family is split. Part of them are like, "Oh my God, how do you survive that?" I'm like, "It was an inch. It's not a big deal." The other half of the family is like, "Oh, send it down here."
Yeah, I grew up in New Jersey, in South New Jersey, and yeah, it gets snow. They just got snow recently,
Yeah.
but
They
I'm
got more than we did. The storm
oh
didn't make
really?
it. Yeah, the storm didn't make it as far north for us. So yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
I can't hang with that. I got acclimated. The last 6 years have got me to be acclimated to the hot weather. Do you like the cold?
I mean, I don't not like it.
Yeah.
You just get used to it. The big joke up here is, we all have our big coat, right? It's like that's when it's really cold. Like I had to bust out my big coat. So we all have that LL Bean Sub-Zero parka with the big hood and but you're going from like house to car, and
Yeah.
cars all have like remote starters these days. And, so you're going from warm house to warm car to warm office building, back to your warm car. And I'm not going to freeze to death walking across the parking lot. It's going to be fine.
Yeah.
We're going to
You
be
know,
fine.
that's kind of the way it is in the summer here, right? It's like in the summer, it's so hot
Yeah. Oh,
that
yeah.
you know, it's
Yeah.
like the reverse of the winter.
Yeah. My mom used to live outside of Orlando. And I remember being down there one July and like middle of the day saying something like, we should go out and go to the mall or go out and go play golf or something. And she's like, oh, no, no, no. I'm like, what do you mean? No, no. And she's like, no, we don't go out now until at least like 2:30, 3 o'clock. I'm like, what? You left New England because you felt you were a prisoner of your home from January to March, but now you live somewhere where you are a prisoner of your home from like June through
That's
August.
that's exactly it.
Yeah,
It's so funny, so
yeah.
funny. You're a golfer?
It was. I haven't played in quite a while, but I would pick
Mm,
up a club in a heartbeat. So you don't
gosh,
forget how to swing. So
no, no. I used to play so much when I was in California. God, I played so much, and then moved here and just opened the firm, and yeah, it's gotten. I get obsessive. So like,
you need
if
balance, Joe. You gotta have hobbies, you gotta have work, you gotta have right, because if you
I
don't take
know,
time away from work, you don't have the creative juices for work.
very true, very true. Um, yeah, I have other hobbies now that take up time, but golf, it's too long for me. Like, a normal round,
You can just play 9 holes. You don't have to play 18. I'm
I
just gonna
can't. I
throw
know you
that
can.
idea out there
I
for
know
you.
you can, but my score then it's like a little bit. There's an asterisk next to it. It's 9 holes, and then if
Yeah.
I play 9 holes and I shoot a good 9, God, I got to play the whole. I got to play the whole round,
Okay.
and then I'm
So
practicing
I
going to
thought I
the.
was an overthinker.
No, I get a little crazy with it. And then I got to practice. I got to go to the range, a couple times a week, and go to the putting green
Okay.
and the chip, the whole deal. And it's like, Jesus, too much, too much. But I love it. And I got really good. I got really good. Well, relatively speaking. Um, but I got into the 70s a couple times.
Nice.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
pretty excited to break 100. So see, different approaches, different
yeah.
approach.
Well, that was when I first started, and then we were playing before work like 5 days a week. We'd be the first ones to tee off, and we'd get it because we're the first ones to tee off. We'd get 18 in like 2 hours.
Sure.
Yeah, it was awesome. Um, but yeah, I can't do that anymore.
Most of the after work leagues are 9 holes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you get used to playing 9 holes, but that consistency of playing, 9 holes once or twice a week, every week over the course of the whole season makes a difference.
Oh, big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I went out and played probably like a year and a half ago. Ugh, it was a mess.
You got to play just for the love of playing, not for the
You
outcome.
and I had a ton of fun. I had a ton of fun. It was up in I went and visited family up in New Jersey, and we played around, and it was a lot of fun. I played like garbage. Had some good shots with you get one or two good shots, and it's like, oh, this is
That's what
great.
keeps you coming back, right?
Right? It's
That
like you have
one
the
fabulous drive, once around. It's like,
it's like, look, if you could do it once, I should be able to do this all the time.
yeah.
Right?
And
Yeah.
inevitably, if your drive is great, you can't putt your way out of a paper bag to
Oh
save your
my
life.
God.
And if your
Tell me
chip
about
game
it.
is fantastic, you can't hit it in the middle of the fairway no matter what you're doing. Yeah.
I know. I know. There was like only a few times where I was able to put it all together. And yeah, the other times it's like, for sure.
That's what tournament like the charitable outings, right? Where you have like a foursome, but it's a scramble format. So everybody hits the ball and whoever hits it the best, everybody plays from there. And as
Yeah.
long as you have a foursome where like somebody's a great driver, someone's a great putter, someone's great in the fairway, and someone's great at, pitching up onto the green, you're good.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when a coworker of ours out in California, we had joined this club, and he hadn't, and he hadn't played golf in like 5 or 6 years. And we're like, hey, come play with us. And the dude ends up shooting the low 80s. Right. It's like, oh, what the hell is this? And come to find out, he had been an avid golfer when he was younger, and I actually played a couple rounds with Tiger Woods. Um, and then he started playing a lot, and we started playing a lot together. And one thing that he taught me, which is kind of like helped relate to other areas of life, is I would see him and he'd shank his drive, right? He'd be in the
Yeah.
deep rough or whatever, and he wouldn't get upset. It wouldn't bother him at all. And he'd go up to the ball, and he'd hit it like he had never hit the tee shot, the shitty tee shot. And he told me that golfers, good golfers, take each shot in its own unit of time, right? Not as right. Everything in the past, everything that happened before is just erased, and now, okay, this is the shot I have, and this is what
Yeah.
I'm doing. And so I've kind of like that really like struck a a light bulb with me just in life. It's like really taking things in a new unit of time, and not as a blur with everything else that's happened in the past. It's like, okay, what's going on right now? And okay, this is what's happening at the law firm right now. Okay, what do we need to do to
Yeah.
handle right whatever? And it's like not being influenced by past mistakes or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want the past to bog you down, right? Because you can't change it, but we can learn from it. Right. So,
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah, every golfer is taking that next shot. This is my shot. But it's also that shot is informed by the shots that came before. Like, oh, wait,
Mm.
I already know the wind is blowing, you know, let me try to keep this ball low.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
job's
You
still gonna
definitely
be
can't.
informed by what came before, but you're not gonna get bogged down in it.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. So, when did you start your practice?
November of 2002, the firm I had been working for gave me about 10 days notice that they were closing up shop and I was out of a job. But if I wanted to stay on and rent my office, I was more than welcome to. And it would be, and here was my bill for rent. And I thought, I've been grumbling for a long time now that I could do this better than some of the people I've worked for. So maybe now's my chance. I just needed business cards and insurance and hung my shingle.
So you're kind of forced into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I prefer to think of it as the universe decided that this opportunity was time. So
Yeah. That's great. That's good. And where are you at now? Are you have employees in office?
yeah. So our progression, we've had a couple of ups and downs that I'll explain. So um, my first employee was just a 20-hour a week. I shared an office admin with somebody. And I still remember like it was terrifying to hire somebody. Like, how was I going to keep them busy? How was I going to pay them? So I always tell folks like I kept a post-it note on my desk, and for like a week, every time I put hands on anything, I thought to myself, could I delegate this? And if the answer was yes, I wrote that on the post-it note, and that post-it note became the first job description,
Mm,
of the office admin. But what I would do after I had that post-it note, as I looked at it, I was like, I could hire somebody this 20 years ago, right? I could hire somebody for $20 an hour. And if I paid them $20 an hour to do all of this work and I only had to pay them $400 a week, and at that point, I didn't even need to continue the conversation in my own head. It was a no brainer. For $400, I don't have to do any of this stuff. And all I have to do is bill 1 hour and I've paid for this person. And so then it just became a no brainer to make that first hire. And to this day, I still, if I get stuck on something, I'll have that post-it note. I'm like, what do I need to delegate?
you
Um,
still have that same post-it note, or
no,
just
no,
did you
no. I
save
just
it?
use that
Okay.
same model.
Yeah.
If I'm trying to think of what I mean, we do things differently now because now I'm stepping more into a leadership role, and we do have job descriptions of sort of all the future positions that will exist as well, written out, working on developing employee maturity models so that our team can also see what's potentially available for them down the road, along with the pay bands that come with those positions and what they need to learn and do to move into those roles. But that was the first hire, 22 years ago, was with Post-it note. And then, yeah, from there we went from single person part-time to full-time. Then we had like a full-time admin and a full-time paralegal. Um, then added an associate attorney, and then some of these people came and went, but that was mostly the rule. In 2013, I stepped back from the business a little bit unintentionally. My dad was diagnosed with leukemia, and being the only child of divorced parents, tag you're it, unexpected caregiver. So that kind of took me out of the business for a while, which had an impact on the business itself. So the business kind of some folks went their own way, and we kind of let the business get a little more it just got smaller. Can't think of the right word for that, but um
Yeah.
yeah, we just kind of, and at that point I was exhausted. I was like, I built this the way I was supposed to based on what they say. And I realized, I'm like, I just kind of did things the way I thought I was supposed to, and really wanted to take a more conscious approach to building a business and a practice that I wanted to see serve the world in a certain way and serve families, and how we were going to do things. And then started to rebuild in 2017, 18, where we made a conscious effort of, we're going to go paperless. We're going to be as virtual as humanly possible. We all wanted to be able to work from home if we wanted to, or from Paris, or wherever. So we started doing that, and then started to rebuild team. And then, of course, the pandemic hit in 2020, and horrible time for most people, but we were kind of mostly okay because we had already been trying to get people to meet with us via Zoom. But
Mm.
at that time, we would tell clients, well, we're going to meet virtually via Zoom. And they're like, Zoom, what? We'll come to your office, dear. It's okay. Like, no,
You're like, no,
no.
we don't want you to come to our office.
Really? So then the pandemic hit, and I mean, we're like, okay, we're still here. We're still ready to work. We don't have to make any adjustments whatsoever. Um,
So it was
so
like perfect for you because that's what you wanted, and it was like, oh, yeah, this
yeah,
is a godsend in a way,
yeah,
right?
it worked out really well. We had about 6, 8 weeks that the phones were dead, like many people did, I'm sure. And we just looked at that time. At the time, it was just myself and an assistant, my assistant, Wendy, who's been with me 12 years now.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and I'm pretty sure she was convinced this was the beginning of the end. And like, how long was she going to be getting a paycheck? And then, we were just going to close the doors. I was like, no, you know what? We've always said we wish we had time to work on, some big projects. I'm like, this is the time. That's all it is. This is just the universe giving us that time that we have asked for. So we spent 6, 8 weeks really up leveling our estate planning system, getting it super documented, converting a lot of the stuff we did by mail into emails, building out task lists for everything, automating as much as we humanly could. And then the floodgates, and I thank God we did because the floodgates opened.
Is that
Uh,
right?
yeah, somewhere near the end of Q2 of 2020. Because right from Massachusetts shut down just before St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick's Day is a huge holiday in Boston, and so they wanted to shut down and everything before all the parties would have happened, the parades and everything. So Mass shut down like March 15th, 16th. And then I think it was beginning of May-ish, so mid Q2, that yeah, the floodgates just open, and it's been just ridiculous since. So but the systems serve us really well. I mean, and so now it's myself. We have a full-time paralegal. Um, Wendy is still here. She's 24 hours a week, fully remote from home. I'm in the office on a hybrid basis. Our full-time paralegal is in the office full-time at her, that's her preference. And then we just hired an associate attorney who started just before Thanksgiving. And I expect that we'll hire an office admin by the end of the year. We'll need a full-time admin support.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Um, what does your associate attorney do?
So she's what we call a baby lawyer. She was a prenatal lawyer. I made her offer the night before she was getting sworn in. So right now she spends a lot of time learning. The first thing she's going to take off the desk, though, off my desk, is she's going to be running a lot of the signing meetings.
Mm.
And so that'll be one of the first big things. She's already doing the drafting. She's already mastered wealth docs and getting all the drafting done. So that's awesome. We've been outsourcing that to a third party, so it's saving us on that expense. She's doing a lot of CLEs to learn, but she'll take signing meetings off. And then our big project for this year is decentralizing the estate planning sales conversations, because right now I'm the only one who has those, and that's going to definitely hold us back with long-term growth. So we're shifting to having intake people, but it will be us to start with. And then as we continue to grow, we'll have dedicated intake conversation people who will have
Yeah,
calls. And then as we know, what the needs are, then Nicole will take on the clients, probably the younger families, the starter plans, the newly minted adults that need powers of attorney and healthcare proxies, and the trust plans will still continue to flow my way. And yeah, that's
nice. That's a good plan.
yeah.
Yeah, really. What will the intake do? Just like answer phones or?
So right now, Wendy manages all of that. She manages all things phone. I hate being on the phone, so she returns calls for me. She takes all the inquiry calls in. Our voicemail system. So people call. We have a voicemail system that answers, and they're told, like, if you want to talk about estate planning, hit number 1. We'll connect you to Wendy. If you want to talk about administrations or Medicaid, hit number 2, you'll talk to Marie. That's pretty much all that's on I'm not in the phone tree anymore. It's on the
That's
biggest
good.
log
That's
jam.
good.
So no phone tree for me. So Wendy fields all of the estate plan inquiries to get them on the schedule. So what I anticipate will happen is we'll still have somebody, getting those calls and inquiries, getting contact with them as soon as possible, and then making sure we set up a planning goals discovery session with them preferably within 1 week, 2 weeks max. And that's the sales conversation for us, is that discovery session.
Yeah. 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 We're kind of similar with that. Pretty similar with that in our intakes. I think we have to, well, we just hired Smith AI. You familiar with
Yep.
Smith AI?
Yep.
Yeah.
I know you were wrestling to figure out like who to go with.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I'm trying them out. Haven't done the onboarding call yet. I think they just scheduled it today. I sent them my calendar, but yeah, our girls today, Stephanie just came to me and she's like, each of them have 100 calls they have to make today, like on their call list, and they're doing intakes. And so they're having to filter through a lot of the Medicaid is the biggest problem, right? Because we get a lot of calls for people who want Medicaid, just regular insurance rather than, long-term
Yeah, that's
care.
sort of like a marketing issue.
Oh, it's so difficult.
It seems like there's something going wrong with the messaging if you're getting those calls.
I know, and we've tweaked it so much. And our landing page, because it's all Google ads that we run for it.
Yeah.
And the landing page that they go to, it's like big and bold. Like if you need long-term care or in-home care, it's like, and then we just still get a plethora of these calls. Oh yeah, I need some, prescription meds. It's like, oh my God.
Or maybe you need to rethink those Google ads.
Well, the return on investment's still high, but it's clogging up the line is what it's doing. So these girls aren't, they're having to, they're answering the phones.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And so they have all their outbound calls that they need to make, but then they're answering the phone every 5-10 minutes and then get in a conversation with some, homeless person that needs Medicaid insurance. And we want to help people. So they're like, okay, you need to go here or go to this website, call this number, say this. But so the calls end up being, 5-10 minutes here, 5-10 minutes there. And it adds up. Yeah. It's a challenge. You guys is Medicaid similar in your state?
Yeah. So we refer to it as Mass Health here in Massachusetts. Every state Medicaid program has its own name, right? So we do application work with families, with folks. The sweet spot is when it's a married couple and, one spouse needs care and the other one is still home or something like that. Our state's health insurance program, though, is referred to as Common Health. And it's like through the connector is the name of the portal. So it's not because the names are distinct enough. I think it's not often confused because pretty much if people are reaching out to us, it really is because someone is in the nursing home. So, but we're also not running Google ads. So that could also be part of the difference. So.
Yeah. Where do you get your business for that?
Mostly word of mouth referral. We do a lot. We put a lot of content out to our e-list in terms of blogs and things of that nature, and then in-person networking, whether it's through Chamber of Commerce, Provisors. I think you have Provisors down in Florida. Highly
I don't know
recommend.
what that is.
It's a networking group. It's all. So you've heard of BNI probably.
Yep.
Yeah. So BNI, the idea is like every chapter you have one person per profession. So there's no, no competition within the room. So you can develop strong relationships. So Provisors is similar, but it's all going to be white collar businesses. So it's going to be accountants and financial advisors and attorneys, and but you're not going to also have the electrician and the plumber and the so very similar idea, but a little more focused in terms of the professions. So, and then there's some other subtle differences. Guesting at other groups is highly recommended. And then in between meetings, you're sort of automatically set up to get together for like a coffee or a lunch with 2 other people. So every month you've got that happening too.
Okay. And that you get some business from that, yeah?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Huh.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
renew if it weren't for that. It's pricey.
Right.
That. And then the elder law piece, the National Academy of Elder Law Attorneys, having a membership there is, if you're serious about doing Medicaid work, it's worth its weight in gold to be a member of that organization.
I'll have to look into that and see what they have for Florida.
Yeah. Again, it's not an inexpensive investment. But it's also, if I have a client who does have a family member in another state and they need somebody for Medicaid, that's where I'm going to look to see that referral, because I know that lawyer does a lot of that work. And we have listservs that are available through that membership, which is huge. To be able to just throw out a question to colleagues and, have like 6 answers within an hour is also, worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, that sounds really valuable. Did
And
you?
Massachusetts has a super active state chapter of NALA.
Huh. I'd imagine it's got to be pretty active here with all the elder, with the population down in Florida.
Yeah.
So when the other firm that you were working at before you opened yours, was that just estate planning, or were you doing elder law as well?
No, I was doing, well, I was hired to be the estate planning and elder law department. So it was 3 partners who did not get along, and then me. So it was great fun. But it was mostly estate planning. There wasn't a lot of elder law that they did. And I wasn't savvy enough to know to be marketing, to get more of it. And it was in that job that I really started, building my own networks and bringing in my own business. And I was just more focused on the estate planning piece at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how long did you work with them?
99. I want to say it was like maybe August, September of 99 through, end of October of 2002 when they closed their doors. So it was almost a little more than 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so during that time, you built relationships with your clients, and then after that, you were getting
with
referrals?
Clients, with other professionals. That was when I joined BNI, as a matter of fact, because I started in BNI. I was in BNI for 17 years, all in. And I left BNI in 2015 when I joined Provisors. Yeah.
Yeah. I have to look up Provisors. So when did you end up learning about Medicaid and probate and?
So the job I had before, where I worked I started there as a legal assistant in 1990 and worked there full time while I was going to law school at night, and then stayed on there as an attorney. So that was also, they like to call themselves a business practice. It was mostly a general practice. There were only a few things that we didn't do. And so I did a lot of student loan debt collection. I worked at one point for the partner who did real estate closings. I worked for the other partner who did a lot of bankruptcy work. We did estate planning. We did probate administrations. We didn't do any trust administrations. And then we had a case where Medicaid came up, and it was a really complicated, complex family situation. But that was my exposure to Medicaid. And it was working in that firm that I knew I really wanted to just super focus my practice. I did not like this whole general practice. Every time the door opened, it was a new learning curve. And oh, by the way,
Sounds exhausting.
Right? And you can't bill for the learning curve, but we're paying you based on your billables. And it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun. But that was where I really learned that I love numbers and number oriented areas of law. So I knew I was either going to end up in bankruptcy or estate planning Medicaid, because they're very numbers driven. So for those of you who went to law school because you hate math, don't do bankruptcy, don't do estate planning, don't do Medicaid. There are spreadsheets involved in all of them.
Yeah, for sure.
But then just really gravitated to the estate planning and elder law because I love helping. I love teaching. I'm definitely a teacher at heart. I love teaching. I love numbers. I love puzzles. And so estate planning and Medicaid definitely feed all of those. And I get to work with awesome clients. Our clients are super fun, really fabulous people.
Aren't they?
Yeah.
This area of law.
Or they're not. We don't make them an offer to be our client. So but no,
probate can get a little funky. Yeah. Probate can get a little funky with some of the clients.
It can, but we're doing our probates on a flat fee basis. And so we have some exceptions in our scope of services agreement. We're not getting into litigation. We're not handling, if there's going to be will contests, accounting contests, things like that. Those are exceptions to the work that we do. So it gives us that opportunity to decide if one of those things comes up. Do we want to do it, or is it better for the client if we refer them to a probate litigator who's really focused on that area? So we have
all the same in ours. Yeah. We exactly the same as yours is what you just explained.
Yeah, because I don't like opening the mail on Thursday and there goes my weekend, so.
Right. Which one do you like practicing the most?
I mean, I like them all for different reasons, or we wouldn't be doing them, right? I mean, I love working with families with older folks. I think one of the things that our team does really well is we have great emotional IQ, and we're complimented a lot on our ability to explain complicated, subjects in ways that people can understand. And we get that a lot from our older clients in particular. And I love knowing that they feel comfortable and they're at ease in what is a very stressful time in their life. And to be able to, especially for a married couple, demographics suggest the husband's going to need nursing home care first, and I've got the spouse who's at home, and there's a lot of stress and a lot of panic. And while the whole Medicaid application is pending, they're just seeing that nursing home bill go up by $15,000 a month. And, being able to alleviate that is huge for them. And so that's very gratifying. I love our estate planning work because I'm super proud of the systems that we've built in our office, and every client has the same awesome experience. So I love doing that work because I love kind of the process and the systems behind it. Probate and trust administrations, I mean, it's just fun to sort of now see we did all this planning, or we can see how other people's plans are failing, so we can learn from that, which makes us better planners. And so it just all fits really well.
Yeah, you're a systems person.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm a very linear thinker. I am definitely a very linear thinker. I never met a spreadsheet I didn't like. I never met an outline I didn't like. Law school was brutal because you probably, law school, everybody goes to law school, and the way that you study is by outlining your notes. My notes were already a flippin' outline. I'm like, all I could do was like rewrite it neater.
Yeah. I'm super into systems. I'm constantly like seeing what can be streamlined. How can we, make things more efficient, and just, setting up.
Well, structure gives you freedom, right? Because if you have structure, and people think, oh no, structure, now I'm hemmed in. I'm like, no, structure, now you don't have to think about it, right? It alleviates decision fatigue. If we know this is and that actually frees up, again, the creative juices. So if you have a client where there is this unique tweak that would make all the difference in the world, you're going to have the bandwidth to think of it, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't have to be thinking of all this other stuff. And that structure is also what lets a team work like a team. And it lets me know I no longer need to tell people what to do. They already know what to do. I now just need to you have to inspect what you expect, right? So now I can
Yeah.
just sort of monitor to make sure things are happening. And, and we do that through our weekly huddle and our daily all hands. So,
Yeah. Yeah. You put it perfectly there about decision fatigue. I just posted a video the other day about like following up with for what to say when following up with someone like a consult that didn't close. And yeah, it's simply just like, hey, any update on getting your estate plan started, right? Just like, and the previous sales job that I had, it was the first real sales job that I had. But I'd stare at the phone and say, oh shit, what am I going to say to them? Okay. And then I'd look at the notes, I'd look at my notes, and then, okay, what's going on? They have a cat. Okay. Maybe I can ask how the cat's doing. All this, mental, gymnastics. And then, and then you think of all that, and then you get into the call, and then the creative juices are just like drained.
yeah.
And so now it's like handling whatever during the call. It's like, at the end of the day, you're just exhausted.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and part of that too is you can't be emotionally invested in the outcome of that call,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
we're here. I know what we do. I know what it does for families. I am happy to have discussions and teach and answer your, da, da, da. And if the potential client decides it's not a good fit for them, okay. That's up to them. But we managed
Yeah.
to close 80% of the people we talk to. So
That's amazing. It's amazing. We got to get up to those numbers. That's incredible. Yeah, I remember when we first started, it was like I was very emotionally invested in, getting a sale. Yeah.
yeah.
We had like hardly any income, no money in the bank. It's
Well, and
like,
it's hard, right? Because I hear people out there, various people selling marketing systems and sales systems or whatever it is. And like, well, if money weren't an object, well, screw you. Money is an object. Someone's got to pay the darn mortgage bill, and the rent and payroll comes around every 2 weeks.
yeah,
Money is
yeah,
an object. So I always
right.
hated that question because you can't not, you can't divorce yourself from that. But somehow you have to try really hard.
Have you used marketing companies?
Not marketing companies. I've always had a coach of one kind or another, and it's always had different forms. So I had a sort of a lawyer specific coach originally, initially back in 2002. And then, worked with another organization that was very estate planning specific, kind of worked my way, kind of kind of just maxed these out every step of the way. Then in 2014, shifted to more of just general sales and marketing kind of coaching, not really law office specific. They more worked with coaches, consultants, learned a ton working with that organization. And now I work with my current coach, I work with Victoria Collier, Quid Pro Quo, um, coaching with her. And then I also have more of a marketing mindset coach who I've been connected with for off and on since like 2014, 2015.
Oh, wow. That's a long
I have kind of
relationship.
two. And then in between there was a time management coach. And she was amazing. The work that I did with her was just life changing, absolutely life changing.
Is
So.
that right?
Well, I was, I was what I think is the typical lawyer, right? I was like always working. I was working 60 plus hours a week. And if I wasn't working, I was feeling bad that I should be working. And I would bring the work home on weekends, but I'd never managed to like crack the file. And then I would beat myself up for not having, and I was just miserable and I was spinning my wheels and getting nowhere. And I just wasn't effective. And so working with her, Sarah Rafe Hecking, she's with True Focus Coaching. She works with a lot of lawyers, actually, just helping us kind of get control of the calendar, figuring out like what's a time management system that's going to work for me. That's one of the things I love most about her work. It's not like, here's a system, do this, right? Like fit yourself into this system. It's more, listen, she knows that an effective system is going to have like so many, certain components, and we need to figure out what those components look like for you so that we can make sure that, you're getting your work done, but you're still enjoying your life. Nobody ever wrote on their gravestone, my God, I wish I, worked more.
Right. I've seen that before.
I see a lot of people like we're like working, I'm trying to get to this. I'm trying to get to this. I'm trying to get to this. I'm like, yeah, but are you having fun while you're doing it?
Right.
Right. Like, because people are like, wow, you've been doing this 22 years. Have you done whatever yet? I'm like, yeah, no, we'll get there. I'm having fun building the systems and doing the thing. And meanwhile, I need to take care of my dad. And now I'm taking care of my mom. And, I got a 9-year-old
Yeah.
niece that I like to make sure I have time for. And yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. What do you think, what shifted with your time management from her?
I think the big shift there was really the permission to build the business the way I wanted to build it, in a way that was going to support the lives of the people who work here and not be so focused on the destination or the timeline. We'll get there when we're supposed to get wherever there is. I don't even know, right? Like we're just doing our thing, and we're always looking for like what's the best next move, or the next best move, or however you want to phrase it. So just kind of looking at what makes sense given the firm's mission, our values. But when we have monthly one-on-one time with team members, we're talking about like, where are you on your personal goals? Where are you on your financial goals? Let's also talk about where you are in the business as well. But we're here 40 hours a week. It has to support the rest of life. And I don't bring work home with me anymore. It's the rare occasion. I enjoy working from home. I have my home office. I love working, and I'm a completely different kind of productive in that office than I am in what I call my office where I am right now. But I don't work weekends. I don't bring work home, and I don't beat myself up about it anymore either. So
Good job.
I can sleep at night. It's very exciting.
So what do you mean you're a different productive at home? Because for me, we
Yeah.
have we have a home office set up. We both have, Ashley and I both have desks, like a whole full setup. It's like, but for whatever reason, I feel like I just don't get enough done there.
Oh, see, I'm the opposite because I don't
Is that right?
have, we don't, so we are currently in between pets, so we don't have any animals. Well, we have a part-time cat who just sort of lives in the neighborhood, and he decides he's coming in every now and again. Not really our cat, so we're not obligated to take care of him. So we don't really have distractions. My life partner, he works from home full time, so he's always there. Excuse me. And he's been full-time work from home for years. So he's got kind of his thing, but his office is up in the loft. My office is on the main floor, and I've got a great view. We live on a lake, so I've got a great view of the lake, and there's no distractions. I can just sit there and work. Because here I'm in my office, as I call it, and it's not like nobody's poking their head in constantly. Nobody's knocking on my door, but I know there's other people around. And so
Yeah.
it's like, oh, this I should go talk to, I should go coordinate, right? And so there's this, I should. But I don't know, for some reason, when I'm working from home, my home office, I don't know if it's the energy of the space or what it is. I just seem to be a little more focused and can get movement on the bigger projects. And it's probably just a case of we're client facing Tuesday through Thursday. So we almost never have client meetings Mondays and Fridays. Pretty much never on Mondays, almost never on Fridays. Fridays we leave for emergencies and things like that. And so those tend to be my work from home days. So it's probably just because my schedule is not so like broken up that I'm able to, make movement on the bigger projects because I can spend 3 hours working on something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the firm projects, development projects, those are the things that I have a ton of fun working on. So it probably also just feels like I'm more effective at home, but it's really just I'm working on stuff that just makes my heart sing. So
Yeah. I think the dogs, we have 2 golden retrievers. We have them in the office. Uh, I bring them to the office during the day,
sure.
but at home, they're much more needy for some
Interesting. Yeah,
reason.
because we used to have
Yeah.
2 cats and a dog. But they would all just one cat would sit in a chair behind my desk, which was the only reason we had that chair was so we had a place to sleep. The dog would always lay in her bed outside my office door, and then the other cat would lay on the sofa near the dog. But they would mostly just be sleeping until I got on Zoom. Once I'm on Zoom, the animals hear the voices, and then inevitably, I'm sitting there doing a Zoom meeting, and you just see this tail come through right? Because the cat's walking back and forth. But we used
That's
to bring the
funny.
dog when we pre-pandemic, we used to bring the dog to the office as well. She was quite senior. So sometimes she would stay home and my clients would come in and they'd be all hesitant to ask where the dog was because they were afraid of
Oh.
cancer. So when she did pass, her bio is still up on the website. So when she did pass, we did a blog article to let folks know. And but it's funny when you look at the Google Analytics of our website, people bounce and you can see the path they take through your website through those analytics. Nobody doesn't get to her bio. Absolutely
No.
nobody doesn't get to her bio.
Aw. I should put a bio for our dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're on our website, but I
Yeah.
don't have
We
a
used to
bio
call
for
her
them.
the chief morale officer.
Aw. I
So
think her chief tail waggers, I think is what
there you
these
go.
guys are called. Yeah. When did she pass?
Let's see. It was during the pandemic. I'm trying to think. One of Gizmo, the cat passed first. So the dog belonged to my boyfriend. The cats were mine. Merging the family was tough. Did not go well. So fun to love seat. We're lost in the process.
Wait a
Uh,
minute, wait a minute. So you had the cats,
yeah,
and then the boyfriend had the dog,
right. And so when
and
we
then
moved in together, we had to get his dog and our cats to cohabitate. So
yeah,
his
how?
dog was fine with it. He was like, "This is going to be the best. We're going to be best friends. We're going to play. It's going to be awesome." The cats were like, "You're a weirdo. I don't know what's wrong with you. Get away from me." And then they proceeded to pee on the furniture, and that's why we lost
Oh,
the sofa and a love seat in the process. Um, but finally, Gizmo befriended the dog, if only because Gizmo decided the dog's food smelled fantastic. And so that was pretty funny. And so the dog learned that the cats showed affection by headbutting. And so the dog learned to like go up to them very gently and very carefully and just nudge them ever so gently with her nose as like, I
oh,
saw you guys do this. This is what you do, right? Like the dog was trying so hard and these cats wanted nothing to do with her. Um, and then Gizmo was the one that ultimately befriended her and he passed first, unfortunately. So then poor dog looked at the other cat, Hunter, and was like, all right, well, that leaves us. We're best friends now. Hunter finally did sort of tolerate the dog. But then when the dog passed, the funniest thing, then Hunter was the last animal. And that's when all of a sudden Hunter was like, he was vocal. He was wanted to be pet by everybody. I'm like, is this just because now you're lonely and you want this attention? Or has like the last 8 years of your life been miserable? I feel so bad. But the dog's routine every night that we would go to bed, the dog would go to the slider. We let this open the slider, let the dog out into the backyard, do her business just before we all bed down for the night, whatever. So when the dog first passed away, we go downstairs to go to bed. Well, doesn't the cat follow us and go to the sliding glass door and look at us like, well, somebody's supposed to go out, right? Like, isn't this what
oh my God,
it was really funny?
that's really cute.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
And
you're
then
gonna get
Hunter also passed. It was during the pandemic. So we've been without pets for a few years now, but we travel a lot. So it's been so much easier to travel
oh, I
without
know.
having to manage it. So we will, again, it's perfect that we have this part-time cat that lives down the street. We have, he shows up about every 3 days and comes in, makes the rounds, gets some treats, a little bit of water, maybe takes a nap. And then he literally will just go to the front door and just stare at the doorknob until somebody lets him out. And he's like, all right, peace out, people. See you in a few
Oh
days.
my gosh, that's so funny. Yeah, Ashley and I had a husky. We got a husky shortly after we started dating. Kind of crazy that we even did that, but good thing we worked out. Anyway, he passed in October of 2018, and the worst thing in the world, him passing. Oh my God. And I'd been waiting for him to die for like a year and a half. But he finally told us it was time, and
Yeah.
we put him down. But yeah, we cried for days.
Yep.
Never cried like that before.
Oh
Never.
yeah, it's brutal. It's
Oh
brutal.
my God. Oh my God. But as soon as he passed, we started going away spur of the moment, going weekend trips.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is incredible. I was like, I don't know if I'll ever get another animal. And then my wife and daughter just kept hounding me about getting another dog. Ashley was like, I've never lived without a dog. I've always had, and it just was relentless. So then I just, by myself, quietly, I was researching, dogs. And I was like, okay, finally said, if we get a dog, it'll be a golden retriever. And then one night I was sitting in bed and I saw one up near Sacramento. They just had a litter. And I woke up the next morning and I emailed them that night. I said, hey, do you have any of these left still? Emailed me the next morning. He's like, yeah, we have like a few of them left. So I had planned to get a female, but so I go to Ashley. She's in the kitchen. It's like 7 a.m. I said, hey, do you really want a dog? She said, yes. I said, okay, well, I found one. I said, but there's only one condition. I said, when we go away, like when I want to go away on the spur of the moment or whenever, I said, you need to be responsible for finding a dog sitter for him. And I said, can you do that? And she said, absolutely, no problem. You know how many times she's found a dog sitter? Not once. Not once has she found a dog sitter. Yeah. But I went and got him, and he's the best thing. I really trained the heck out of him.
Yeah.
He's like super attached to me. I could take him in a busy city and walk off leash with him, and he's like right there.
Sure.
Nothing else in the world matters besides
You're
me
the
to
pack
him.
leader.
Yeah. And then we got him a brother a couple years later, right when the pandemic, October of 2020. We got him a brother, and I was working a lot, and I did not train him. And he's wild. He's a golden retriever, but he's just a maniac. He's good, but he's not trained at all. And yeah, he's just so I got one that's really trained and really like on point, and the other guys.
And he probably looks at the other one and rolls his eyes like,
yeah. His hair's all disheveled. He kind of looks like Einstein. His hair fits his personality.
okay.
Are you gonna get any more?
Maybe someday. We'll see.
Not
We
any
have
rush.
joked that if we got another dog, maybe we get one small enough that we could travel with it.
Yeah.
But I'm also allergic to dogs, so we didn't
Oh.
realize like how bad it was until the dog passed. And then as the dander started leaving the house, it was like, wow, my allergies are like gone. That's crazy.
Oh my goodness. I think we did one of those allergy tests. I think you just spit into a vial or something. We did it several years ago. And I think it said I was mildly allergic to dogs.
Yeah.
And
I'm very allergic to dogs, but only if I like pet them and then especially if I like pet them and then touch my face without washing my hands or something like that. That'll definitely set me off. But if we had like a miniature something that's hypoallergenic, that would be good.
Yeah. I know. I kind of regret getting golden retrievers. Not just because of the size and the amount of attention and exercise that they need. It's like it's a lot. It's intense.
Yep.
It's intense. Yeah. And we can't travel with them. Like the dog that I trained, I would love to take him wherever we go. Right? He's so good, but
Yeah.
can't do it.
No, I mean, if they can't fit in the bag that you can carry on the plane, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My daughter and wife are hounding me about getting cats. They're like all over me about it. It's been years, and I've never had a cat. I keep just putting it off.
Oh, if you want an animal with an attitude, definitely
Is
get
that
that.
right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they haven't worn me down yet. There's been several times where I've looked into them a little bit. So I guess uh I don't know. We'll see. So where do you like to travel? Where do you like to go?
Wherever. We did a trip to Mexico. We went over to Puerto Vallarta last October. So we usually do a cruise every April. And then we've also been starting to just do workcations. So we did like a week that we worked from Puerto Rico. We've worked from various places in Florida. Um, again, being able to work remote, work from anywhere. And again, my boyfriend is 100% work from home. So it's pretty easy to just decide where, as long as the time zones kind of match up enough, or we're willing to shift our sleep schedule enough, whatever it
Yeah,
is. So yeah,
I like that. I
I
like
like
that.
working from my back deck, honestly, because I just love sitting on the deck in the summer. So we don't tend to vacation too much in the summer because we kind of already live wherever we would go. So we tend to be more like spring and fall vacationers.
Hmm. Yeah, we
Yeah,
went to
Scotland
California.
is great. We got into Scotland during the pandemic. There was that brief window in the summer of 2021 where we all thought it was winding down, and then it was like, oh, just kidding. Yeah. So we got to Scotland for 10 days in that window. I will generally go to Paris on a heartbeat. If anybody like wants to invite me, let me know. I'm your girl. I love Paris. It's an awesome city. And from Boston, it's not a bad flight, right? From Boston, it's only a 6-hour flight. So,
Oh, that's not bad at all.
right? It's like we can be in Europe in the same time it takes me to get to LA. So,
Yeah.
or
Oh,
San Diego or something like that. We did Hawaii. That was the summer of 2020, well, October-ish, September, October of 2022.
that's a long flight.
It's an 11-hour flight from Newark.
Oof.
We flew Boston, Newark, and then Newark, Honolulu.
Oh, Newark straight to Honolulu.
Yeah, and then
Oh,
it was
wow.
Honolulu back. We took the red eye back. Honolulu, Newark, 11 hours, and then Newark, Boston to get home. But that was what we discovered with Puerto Vallarta is just you can't get there from here. I mean, it was a long travel day to get to Puerto Vallarta. So, but going to the east coast of Mexico is super easy from here. So it's just that
Hmm.
difference of West Coast, East Coast. So I doubt we'll go back to the West Coast, and most of the cruises that we go on do that part of the Gulf and the Caribbean. So
Yeah. Did you take a cruise in Puerto Vallarta, or we just stayed there?
no, we went to one of the Vedanta properties there. I'm totally drawing a blank on which one it was. This one is the only one in Puerto Vallarta because it's Vedanta World in Puerto Vallarta or in Vallarta. So it's a timeshare property, right? So then they try to sell you the timeshare.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just got
I've
to
always
learn
been
to say
I've
no.
never done yeah, I've never done one, but I've been interested in doing them. Uh-huh. Yeah, you just need to be able to say no, right?
Yeah.
That's
Oh
it.
yeah. Many, many times. Because even
Are
when
they
they
good?
they give you the sales pitch and they're like, all right, well, let me go get my manager and he'll get you checked out. And then she comes back with the sales manager who wants to go over everything that the salesperson just told us just to make sure that she hit on everything, which of course she will have overlooked some very key sales promotion they're having. So please let me tell you about that. No, no, no. Okay, well, let me go get my manager and we'll get you checked out. And then he wants to make sure that everybody hit all of it. And so then he asked some question, and my boyfriend, being my boyfriend, he's such a sweetheart, he thinks it's a genuine conversation. So he starts answering the question. So I just put my hand gently on his arm and I'm like, babe, he's just going to give us another sales pitch. So let's just nip this in the bud. I looked at him, I'm like, we have said no, we meant no, we are done. I need you to get us checked out now. Thank you.
So when you say checked out, what do you mean, out of the seminar?
No, it's just their way of like getting you to another person because it's part of the
Yeah.
process, right? Because that's the whole thing with systems and processes. If you don't know what the backside of it looks like, you don't
Yeah.
know where you are in this process. So it's just
Have,
another way of sort of saying, we'll take you to the next step, right?
yeah.
And then
Have
we're
you
just trying
done?
to be polite and not be rude and not just get up and walk out. Because, of course, you're promised certain, gifts or like a Visa gift card or, whatever it is. So if I don't keep sitting through, and I
Yeah.
just leave, now I don't get my gifts and I've just lost 3 hours of my life for no reason whatsoever.
Hmm.
Oh, it's all excessive. Yeah.
How quickly have you done a few of them?
We've done a couple with Hilton. We own a timeshare with Hilton, so we've sat through that a few times. And then we sat through this one with Vedanta. And Vedanta, I thought Hilton was bad. Vedanta is by
Vedantos.
far worse. Far worse.
How
The
quickly
joke
can you
is
get through
the joke is that if their lips are moving, they're lying to you, the timeshare salesman. So
it? How quickly can you get through it?
uh, So I think, again, not having done these, but what I hear with Hilton is like if they tell you it's going to be a 90-minute sales presentation, you walk in, you sit down, and you start your timer.
Mm,
Bam. Right? Okay, you got 90 minutes. Let's go.
yeah.
The 90
Yeah.
minutes, I'm walking out the door. But honestly, we have friends ask us about our Hilton timeshare. I would not, the first one we did buy retail because we just didn't know any better, but don't never buy a timeshare retail, buy it resale.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, a lot of people are just trying to give their timeshares away, right?
Hmm.
So what you're paying thousands of dollars for through, Hilton or wherever, you could get literally by just paying the $2,500 of closing fees. So
Wow.
yeah, so the
So you
resale
have
market is huge for timeshares.
one timeshare, you said, or more?
We have a timeshare with Hilton. We actually have two deeds. We own a
Okay.
week in Scotland, so that because the Scotland property is really hard to book. And so if when we want to go back, we know we own Memorial Day week. So we can go that week any year, every year. But then if we don't want to go, we can just release it and it becomes points in our account that we can use to go anywhere with Hilton
Oh.
timeshare. And then our other deed is in Manhattan, which gives us the opportunity to book earlier than most people. And those properties do tend to fill up. So that's helpful as well. But you got to look at what the maintenance fees are. Historically with Vegas, I'm sorry, with Hilton, the Vegas properties have the better maintenance fee point to maintenance fee ratio. Florida, just they're going through a big thing with the timeshares because with the hurricanes and the damage, there was some sort of legal change in Florida that now these timeshares have to have a bigger reserve. And so all of a sudden, everybody's getting these huge jackups in their maintenance fees to cover the reserve that they have to have. And yeah.
Huh.
So,
Yeah, I've always been backed off on timeshares. I think it's probably just because I don't know enough about them, right?
yeah.
Like if you don't have
I mean,
enough
it depends on
knowledge.
how much you travel, where you want to travel to, how you want to travel. We tend to more prefer a more luxury travel experience. So
Yeah.
it's for us, the traveling to and from and where we're staying is part of the travel experience. It's not what are we doing it's not just what we're doing once we get there. It's kind of the whole.
Yeah, we've definitely moved into a more luxurious travel mindset as of the last couple of years. Before it was all like Airbnbs and
Yeah.
all that stuff, and getting in, staying in the heart of town and some small village in Mexico.
Yeah.
But now it's like, all right, 5-star. We want the 5-star resort.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And it just every place you can stay has its purpose. It just depends on like what's going on. If we're doing a trip with family, we're probably staying someplace different than we might if it was just us, because it's a bigger group of people. It's a 9-year-old, so we've got to be mindful of making sure our niece has stuff to do, and there needs to be a big pool complex, right?
For sure, right? With the kids, you have to have a pool. It's
Yeah.
like it's like when they get stir crazy, it's like, okay, go swim.
Yeah, let's go swim. Absolutely.
Did you say you were down? Did I hear you say you were down in Puerto Rico? Is that one of the recent
Yeah,
places?
we did a week in San Juan.
Mm.
So we stayed there for a week,
Where'd you
where
stay?
we stayed at the Caribe, the Hilton Caribe, which is in
Oh
San
yeah.
Juan. Great resort. The room prices were good. Food's expensive, especially food on property was expensive, but great for working because big lobby, bar, restaurant area that nobody's using during the day.
Mm.
So perfect place to just post up with the laptop, tap into the Wi-Fi, stare out at the ocean and the beach while you're working. And then, 5 o'clock, shut the MacBook. 5:05, we were sitting at the pool bar. So yeah,
Nice. How long were you there?
we were there for a week.
A
So I
week.
think we
Okay.
flew down on Sunday and we flew back the following Sunday.
We went to Puerto Rico in May for Ashley's birthday. Absolutely loved it. We stayed at the Condado Vanderbilt, which is in San Juan as well.
Yeah,
Just super close to the
the
Caribe
Caribe, yeah.
Hilton. Yeah, I think you can see it from the patio. Anyway, absolutely loved it. And then for my birthday in September, I was like, let's go back. So we went back in September, and then Thanksgiving, we were like, what are we going to do over Thanksgiving? What do we want to do? Do we want to have people over? And then we are like, last minute, hey, let's go to Puerto Rico. So we went to Puerto Rico again. It's super close for us, we're
Well, it's an easy flight. Yeah, it's a super easy flight. You don't need your passport, right? It's super easy.
yeah. And we book them with Amex or Amex points,
Yep.
relatively cheap, right? We have so many points. But with Amex, the Amex Platinum, there's certain hotels that they give you check in at 11 and
Mhm.
check out at 4 and free breakfast. And we usually only eat two meals a day. So we would eat like a big breakfast at like 10 a.m. They had this huge buffet. It's like $60 a person. Which we would never spend $60 a person on
Yeah,
breakfast ever,
yeah.
right? It's like ridiculous. I get irritated about $10 for breakfast. Um, but yeah, and so really the only thing we were paying for was dinner every night.
Sure.
Did you guys go out in the area
We
for
stayed
dinner?
on property a lot because at the Caribe, there's a Morton's Steakhouse, and I'm a sucker
Oh
for
yeah.
a really good, really well cooked steak, and they had my favorite wine, and um, and then the other restaurants on property also just had some great local food. But we do the same with points. So we have our joint card, which covers most of the household expenses, and the business card gets us Hilton Honors points. So we use
Mm,
those. So we haven't paid for a hotel in like forever.
yeah.
Um, and then our personal cards are Delta points. And so that gets us, well, we earn Delta miles, but it also gets us access to their sky lounges so
Yep.
that, we have food and beverages while we're waiting for flights and then just kind of pop down to the gate when it's time to go. So that works really well. So
Yeah. Yeah. Amex has you get access to the Delta as well. The Delta.
if you have the Delta
If
Amex, you don't anymore because they've recently, maybe the Platinum one you do, because the Sky Lounge has changed their rules in the last year. It just went into effect this year, the new rules. So
Yeah, I think if your flight is with Delta, so if we book,
yeah,
because we book first class with our points and everything, and so as long as it's with Delta, but then there's Amex lounges. Amex lounges are kind of junk.
yeah,
Um,
the Centurion lounges.
yeah, yeah, I've
Yeah.
only seen a couple of them, but they're nothing to write home about. Uh huh. Anyway,
I am being mindful of the time because I have a
yeah,
meeting in 5 minutes. So
yeah, I actually do too. Well, it was really good talking with you.
it was good talking with you as well. We didn't talk so much shop, but that's okay. Uh,
Totally fine.
but
Totally
I
fine.
love to teach. So anytime people have questions, like,
Yeah. I can tell you do. You have a lot of really good comments in the groups, and that's what kind of drew me to wanting to speak with you. Right, you're very very helpful, super insightful, and I like that you're not afraid to say your point of view. Right, like yeah,
Well,
no, but it's like
I don't see why I shouldn't.
no, yeah, but some people, sometimes you're like, hey, well, I disagree with this point or whatever, and here's why. But it's always like, I think it's great. I think you've been really, really helpful to attorneys, and yeah,
Yeah,
your input is
it's a good
like,
group. It's a fun group.
yeah, for sure. But yeah, I appreciate it. So thank you. You're a
Yeah,
great
you're
teacher.
welcome.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. Well, Tracy, you have a
All right.
great day and rest of your week too.
You too. I'll see you in the group.
All right. Very good.
All right,
Bye.
bye.